Hey Tommy and you guys, this is the world premiere of the 2024 Nissan GTR, and I am so excited because this is one of my dream cars. At least I was excited when I got the email this morning from Nissan. Thank you, Nissan, announcing this car.
Well, there are not that many times in our lifetime that we can say Nissan has changed Godzilla, but this is one of those times, except we're gonna have to put air quotes around new, because yes, it's different, yes, it's been changed, but it's not an all new generation. And in this video, we're going over everything you need to know about the 24 GTR, talking about the exterior changes, mechanical changes, and whether or not this car is still relevant now that it's nearly 16 years old.
Yeah, it just got unveiled in Japan. And what was the first year for the GTR, Tommy?
Well, it's been in production, this R35 generation, since December of 2007. That's pretty nuts. 2007, so it's about to celebrate its sweet 16. It's been in production longer than we have been doing this whole YouTube thing as TFL. It's outlived several generations of Ford Mustang, several generations of Golf GTI, just to put this in perspective, and it just keeps trucking along. It's pretty wild to think that this car has been out for more than half of my lifetime.
So what it needs, of course, is a major redo. What it got was not that.
No, it didn't get perhaps as many changes as it should have, considering the production numbers, which we'll talk about in a second. But let's talk about what they did do to the 2024 GTR, a number of really subtle changes.
And at the end of this video, I'm going to tell you how many they sold last year and last quarter, and then we can take a guess if this will actually increase sales. So what are the new features on the GTR?
Well, we've got slightly redesigned front and rear fascias, including new fog lights that are hidden behind these kind of cool honeycomb designs. That is pretty funky. We have a reshaped grille with a thinner grille mesh to enhance the cooling and reduce drag. We also have a pretty attractive redesign of the front bumper, I have to say. It's more angular, it's more aggressive, it's more pointy. Now the drag coefficient is still 0.26, but Nissan says it has increased downforce.
Really? How did they do that?
Well, the engineers have changed the bumper size, reshaped the rear wings, that kind of thing, to increase the downforce. And the GTR Nismo gets a 10% larger rear wing by surface area. It also gets a revised front lips, canards, and a rear diffuser. So yeah, I mean, if you see this car coming down the road, it does look different than like an 09 GTR. It is unmistakably new. I do like some of the lighting changes. I think it makes it look much more fresh, and it still is an attractive car almost 16 years later.
So I would call this a mid-cycle refresh if we were into that mid-cycle, which we were way past, but we're not. So they must have changed interior, didn't they, Tommy?
Well, we don't have any pictures of the interior of the 2024 GTR, but so far as we can tell, Nissan did not update the car's interior, so you still get a standard 8-inch infotainment screen with Apple CarPlay and Sirius XM support and GTR specific performance pages. You also get an 11-speaker Bose audio system, heated seats, noise cancellation, and then the Nismo still gets Recaro seats with suede and an Alcantara appointed steering wheel. The standard models get the Napa leather steering wheel. Now, this is a different interior than what debuted on the car. I think it was last updated in 2020, so it went through an update about 4 years ago. So it's not the 09 interior. It is better than that, but it's not, as far as we can tell, all new.
Yeah, and you know, this brings up a problem for Nissan potentially, and that is one letter. Can you guess what letter that is?
Oh, what's that?
That's the letter Z.
Oh yeah.
Because it just updated the Z, and of course the Z is technically all new. It's got a little bit of the last generation in it, but still, it's very much new. And then the question becomes, why wouldn't you just get a Z over the GTR? But let's talk about the three different model or grades available in the new GTR.
Well, the reason you don't get a Z over GTR is horsepower, all-wheel drive, and the incredible technology that the GTR still packs in terms of performance.
And because you want the same car your grandpa owned.
No, this car has always been 1,000 steps above the Z in terms of performance, and it will continue to be so for some time. So the GTR Premium starts...
It's getting close, but go ahead, talk about the horsepower.
Not that close, 565 horsepower. That's some pretty serious performance out of the GTR. This is just a standard output, 467 pound-feet of torque, titanium exhaust, 6-speed dual clutch, same as before. It hasn't changed since 2020. It's got Bilstein, Damtronic shock absorbers, Brembo brakes, these really cool 20-inch wheels with Dunlop high-performance tires.
Wait, so we're going to talk about the price in a second, right? But let's go back to the Z, which I love, by the way. Not that I don't love this, but you can get 400 horsepower in the Z for, depending on which model trim you get, for half the cost of this.
Yeah, but all-wheel drive, you get that insane launch control, you get the crazy GTR pages, you still get a lot of high performance and carbon fiber and really impressive tech in the GTR.
So what do you get in the T-Spec?
Well, the T-Spec returns, so it offers a few extra special touches. You get Brembo brakes with carbon ceramic rotors, gold wheels, which is so cool. It also brings visual changes from the GTR Premium, including Millennium Jade and Midnight Purple, which is fantastic, and the Mori Green upholstery with special T-Spec badging. Millennium Jade and Midnight Purple, these are colors which were on previous generations of the GTR and have made a big iconic comeback.
And is the Nismo coming back?
Yeah, Nismo is back. You do get a power bump to 600 horsepower and 481 pound-feet of torque.
So 35 more horsepower.
GTR Nismo also adds a front limited slip diff for the first time, so we do have some mechanical changes here.
Good in the snow?
Probably not, because you don't have the ground clearance. But Brembo carbon ceramic brakes, 16.1 inch front rotors, 15.3 inch rear rotors, and there's also a new Nismo appearance package, which adds red accent to 20 inch raised wheels, a unique clear coat, and an exclusive engine cover design. Stealth gray is a new color option.
So did they announce pricing? I bet you
no,
they didn't.
They did not. Yeah. No. Despite the relatively minor changes, we don't know what the pricing will be, but we can safely assume it's probably going to be higher than the previous generation. Things really get cheaper nowadays. The 2023 GTR model started at $115.
This should get cheaper. You know, this is like, we just did a podcast with Andre. It's like the Ram Classic, right? They paid for the tooling at this point. So wouldn't it be a smart strategy to like make this competitive? The Nismo, right, currently sets you back $212,000. And if they made this more competitively priced, like with, I don't know, Corvette pricing, let's say, right? Because that's a question that I have. Forget the Z, right? Why would you spend $212,000 on this when you can get a Z06 Corvette for less that has potentially better performance?
All-wheel drive.
Okay.
More practicality.
Okay.
That's the reason I don't know. Now, the Nissan has been getting more and more expensive over the years, the GTR, which is pretty interesting. We should have more pricing details in the next few weeks. The updated GTR is actually going on sale soon, hitting select dealers this spring. If you want a Nismo, you're going to have to wait until summer.
Okay. So my question is, how many did they sell last year?
Well, you have those numbers. I don't know.
57, Tommy. In America.
Wow.
And how many did they sell last quarter?
I don't know.
1.
Yeah, that's not a lot. And then in 2021, I think they sold like just over 200 or something. So certainly a very low volume vehicle. Maybe that's why it's getting more and more expensive to offset that kind of cost of production.
Let's just have a little bit of a aside here and have an honest discussion about this, okay? So when the guys in the office saw this, they all were super excited like I was, and then they saw that basically it's a mild refresh with, you know, a tuck here and a tweak there. I would say the question you can easily answer is, did they do enough? The answer is no. Obviously, after, you know, almost 20 years, they need to do more. So what would encourage you? What's the reason for buying this? That's my question. I mean, I love the car and I want to buy the car, but at this point, you get yourself a used one, right, for a lot less. That has very similar performance dynamics and characteristics, unless you're really into like having the newest and greatest. And some people are, I get that. I'm finding this to be a head scratcher as to why you'd want to like invest in this guy.
Well, I think a lot of it comes down to the fact that you have to be passionate about the Nissan brand and about what the GTR represents.
And people are.
Yeah, and there's a big community surrounding the GTR. And for a lot of people, it still is Godzilla. So I think that's where the passion lies. But you're right, if you want the newest tech, if you want it to be competitive, especially compared to some of the new electric offerings in terms of horsepower and torque, not really sure it does that. Now, will we see a all new model, like
R36?
R36 electrified? Probably, but the fact that they're going through a refresh tells me that we're probably several years away from an all new GTR if they decide to do one.
So maybe this is a placeholder?
It could be.
Yeah.
It could be. I mean, it's such a low volume vehicle at this point where I don't think they're making a huge amount of money on it, although I'm sure a lot of the tooling has been paid for at this point. But there's still a lot of fans of Godzilla out there, still a lot of people passionate about this car.
So, you know, like I say, there's two ways to look at this, right? The glass is half empty and the glass is half full. And Nissan has done a really good job with a lot of their recently new models. I think the Z, they knocked out of the ballpark. I think the Pathfinder, they did the right thing by actually going back to more of a rugged. They got rid of the CVT. Mm-hmm. And so they certainly are in a process of transforming themselves, you know, past the previous leader of the company. But it would have been nice, from my perspective, to see him, coming out of the gate strong with a new GTR, with a new Halo car, because a Halo car, it represents the brand, right? It in buyers' minds, it says this is the brand that can engineer something as crazy or as fast or as whatever you want to call it, beautiful as this, then I want to buy the less expensive version of that, right? Which, could be a Versa, right? Could be a Rogue. And in a way, by doing a placeholder, they kind of missed that opportunity.
Well, guys, let us know what you think of the new GTR in the comment section below. Did they do enough? Is this car still competitive as we go into 2023? And this has been Tommy.
And Roman saying check out alltfl.com if you want to see Tommy's latest and greatest reviews. See you guys next time. Ciao.